Just a fun fact before you jump in, Honda City has been in India for 26 years now. These photos look manufactured, right? Like, I don't think that's a
Are they Photoshop?
100% Photoshop or something is done.
Yeah.
If the seller tries to tell you, sir, there's PPF on this for 1.5 lakh rupees, I've gotten PPF done, just like hang up on. I'll
Absolutely.
get angry if they say that to me.
Now when you buy this car, you will be the second owner, and typically the first owner takes the biggest depreciation.
Before we start today's episode, I just wanted to quickly share that we are now a part of Zerota's media network. Okay, welcome to another episode of Shop Cars with us. This is the second episode of this series where Siddhant and I window shop cars online. When I started this channel, never did I imagine in my wildest dreams that we will find a community around people who like to window shop cars with us. But yeah, we're joined by Siddhant again. For those of you who are new to the channel and you're watching us for the first time, quick introduction about Siddhant. Siddhant is a dear friend who apart from being really smart, is also an enthusiast on secondhand cars. He has bought 5 secondhand cars over the years for himself and has influenced all friends and family, including yours truly, in buying in buying cars, buying great deals, right? Like he's not stuck on secondhand cars. If he finds a great new deal, he'll also suggest that and help 20 such friends and family to buy cars over the years, right? So
Right.
Siddhant and I made this episode. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. On do secondhand cars actually even make sense right now in 2024? And we've done another episode of this series earlier on discontinued cars. But coming back to why should you watch this episode? I think two reasons, right? One is actually three reasons. One is you might find a car that you actually like, and therefore you can buy it. You can actually see the episode, click on that, find that listing, and go buy it, which is very unlikely, but you might. But anyway, even if you don't find a car immediately to buy, you will learn how to value a car better. And therefore, these learnings can compound over time. And if and when you're in the market for a second-hand car, at least you have a thought process on how to think about valuing a car, how to think about whether it makes sense or not, what are the different things to keep in mind so that you don't end up buying a lemon or don't have buyer's remorse. On this channel, my aim is to help you avoid buyer's remorse across different products. Cars is one big purchase that all of us make at some stage of our lives. And so hopefully with the learnings you gain from this series, you can avoid buyer's remorse, right? We've also added a new section in this episode, which is called Deal of the Episode. Towards the end of the video, we'll show you one listing that we like, with certain caveats, of course. And if you like it, you can go check it out and see it for yourself, right? All right, with that, let's jump in. Do like this video, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm going to shamelessly plug, like, subscribe, comment at the start too, not in the end, because I've seen that works. There are 70% of you who are not subscribed to the channel, watching. Guys, please kar lo, main kya bigada hai tumhara. And do like this video if you want more of this, right? If you want more of this series, please like it. We are always looking for ideas in terms of what cars to cover. So drop a comment in what kind of cars you want us to cover. Inspired by one such comment, by the way, is this episode today. So in the last one, we did cars that were discontinued and there was a lot of shady business happening. In today's episode, we're going to be covering cars which are not discontinued, but hey, that's still a big pool. But within that also, we're not going to do expensive cars. So we're not doing cars above 20 lakhs. All of the cars we'll do today will be less than 21. So no BMW luxury cars. The second thing that we'll do today is we'll do popular cars. Cars that are very popular, and so a lot of you might like them, and which are still there. But these are not the cars that appreciate like crazy year on year. So that'll be a separate episode. But yeah, with that, I'll also quickly, Siddhant, you want to talk about which are the 5 cars that we are doing
We're
today?
doing 4 cars today, and then we'll
4
leave
cars.
with one deal of the episode, like you said. So we'll start with the Honda City, which seems to be like a cult classic forever and ever, and rightly so. We'll be doing the Kia Sonet. We'll be doing the Volkswagen Virtus, and then we'll be ending with the Tata Nexon. So those are the
Amazing.
4 cars we'll be covering. We'll start today's episode with a favorite of like many people, Honda City, evergreen car. It's been multiple generations have come in India, and it's always been like a favorite within its segment for obvious reasons. Very reliable, very solid car, very well priced, all of those things. For our discussion today, I put the filters of we're looking at only in Delhi. We're looking at cars that are under 5 years old, just from a point of view of how much life the cars would have left. We are also looking at only petrol options, automatic and manual. We're looking at both, but these are the 3 filters: Delhi, under 5 years, and petrol Honda cities.
Just
So
a
once it,
fun fact before you jump
Mhm.
in, Honda City has been in India for 26 years now. It has
Wow.
been that long since this car has been in the market. It's gone through its phases of ups and downs where obviously it's. But the fact that it's stood the test of time and been here for 26 years goes on to say something about its reliability, its love amongst Honda fans. And I see why I have driven a Honda City a lot. And the first
Right.
time I drove it, I was, again, just the responsiveness of that engine and like how quick and naturally, I think I drove a naturally aspirated petrol one. It was,
Hmm.
and back then I used to drive like nothing. So it was amazing to experience this car. So I see why. The other thing I want to add is this is also a car which has slightly fallen out of favor
Hmm.
given our country's obsession with SUVs, and therefore it's a good time
Yeah.
to consider this car in the second-hand market. At least that's my hypothesis going into this. Let's see
Hmm.
how the menu stands against that hypothesis and if you're actually able to find something.
And there, by the way, jumping in, I'm a little apprehensive because this is one of those cars that, at least in my experience, tends to hold its value fantastically. Like it depreciates reasonably, but it's not like you'll get a steal deal every now and then. Very rare to find like absolute steals with Honda Cities.
The
So let's jump into something that's the space lifted, which is the current fifth generation Honda City. Let's try this one for example. Um, let's go through the basics. It's a 2021. It's the VX variant. We'll come to the different variants that they had listed at that point of time. It's a manual, and it's done 48,000 kilometers, which for 3 years I would say is slightly more than what you would expect the average running to be. It's still not exorbitantly high, but 48,000 kilometers. I would assume in 3 years somebody would do about 30,000 odd, so slightly on the higher side. It's a first owner car located in Delhi, and then there's some additional details about the car here as well. Quickly going through the photos of the car as well. The number plate is there. So as we said in one of our previous episodes, you can use that to try and get some of the service history and those kind of checks done about the car. Few shots which has like interiors of the car, exterior of the car. Again, it's just going off of personal experience. This looks to be like a dealer has listed this. Oh, and it says lucky
these
car affairs.
photos
Mm.
these photos look
They
manufactured, right?
Photoshop?
Like I don't think that's a
Yeah,
they're
that's
Photoshop.
not an
They're not.
actor.
That's not a real house. That's not an actual 100% Photoshop
Right.
or something like that. Yeah.
What is
So
great is the
which tells
attention to
me,
detail.
yeah. Which tells me that please go check out this car for sure because you don't know what is being
Correct.
manipulated and what is not.
I love how even from the interior of the car they kept the same house in the background. That's fantastic attention to detail from my
The
perspective.
seller has probably hired a graphic designer to do just this.
Okay, so now let's do what we typically do in terms of pricing. It's asking for 10 lakhs here. Again, I've gone to the early mid 2020 news article when this Honda City latest generations were launched. And here is the variant list. What we are looking at is a VX manual transmission because the CVTs were the automatic transmission. And that one was listed at 12.26 X showroom. Again, given this is a Delhi car, add roughly 10-11%, so another 1.2 lakhs. Give or take, this car would have been about 13.5 lakhs new, assuming no discounts or anything like that. So 13.5 lakhs new for a car that's 3 years old. For a first owner, my expectation would be, let's take something like the minute a car drives out of the lot, at least 10 to 15% depreciation you expect anyway. And given about 20% of the car life is over, I would expect at least a 30 to 35% overall depreciation on this car, right? So we arrive at roughly 13.5 lakhs. This car would have been new. So now let's come at
Yeah.
what we expect or what we would recommend would be a fair price to pay for this car. So given it's a 3-year-old car, it's a first owner. Here's how I'm thinking about depreciation. It would have had a 15-year life in Delhi, and it's 1 by 15 is roughly 6%, 6.25%, or 6.3%, something like that. So at the
6.7,
very
6.7.
6.7?
1 by 15. No?
6.6, 6.67. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the car would have had a 15-year lifespan at the very least, provided the car hasn't done anything just because time is passing by. For every completed year, you should be reducing the value by 6.7%. So that's 1 by 15, right? Now, add to that a couple of things. You'll add to that wear and tear. For example, this car has done 48,000 kilometers. A bunch of parts will be coming up for replacement, like the tires, maybe the suspension has some damage, or so on and so forth. So, at the very least, that 6.7% goes up to at least, let's say, a 7.5, 8%, provided the car is in immaculate condition and services have happened on time. So, for 3 years, I would say, let's say 8 plus 8 plus 8, that's 24% at the very least. And add to that the fact that, now when you buy this car, you will be the second owner, and typically the first owner takes the biggest depreciation. So in addition to the wear and tear of the car, I would say, add at least a 10%, which is basically someone driving the car off the lot, even if they haven't driven it. At the very least, that's the kind of depreciation you expect once a car has been driven off the lot, right? So 8% for 3 years, that's 24, plus a 10% for the first owner transferring to a second owner. So roughly, I would say about 35% depreciation is what I would expect for this car at the very least, right? Provided everything checks out, the car is in great condition and all of that. So now applying that to our 13.5 lakh number, that gives us roughly in the ballpark of
8.8.
8.75 to 9 lakh
Yeah.
as the upper limit. So 9 lakhs is the absolute maximum I would recommend paying for this, probably even lesser than that. Now, given this person is asking for 10, I'm sure there'll be room for negotiation and you can probably meet somewhere in the middle. But again, 8.5 to 9 lakhs as the upper limit for how much I would pay for this.
Quick question. Isn't 48,000 kilo? So I'm just questioning 35%, right?
Yeah.
If I were to be a little opportunistic, 48,000 kilometers is not lightly driven. I wouldn't say
It
that
is significant.
if I were say 30, 35, I'd be still okay, given it's 3 years, 10,000 per year and so on.
Right.
Is a okay, reasonable benchmark. But 48,000 is slightly on the higher side.
On the higher
therefore,
side.
this 35, I would argue you can actually take it up to 40 also.
Absolutely.
Because it has done 48,000. Now what things to check is how are the tire conditions, how's the battery condition. All of these things, by the way, should be up for renewal anytime now. And if I had to put a wager, this seller has not gotten those changed. Yeah, because that's why they sold it in this 3-year opportune window, right?
Yeah.
And so those expenses are also not going to come on you right away. It's going to come on you maybe a year from now.
Yeah.
So so maybe the way to finally value this car would be, okay, 8.75 is a good starting point. The sedan side, 8.5 to 75 to 9. Go there, see the car, get a inspection on in the next 1 year, what are the expenses that are going to come your way. Right. And then maybe try and account for some of that as well. So if you're going to spend, say, 75,000 rupees in the next, or 50,000 rupees in the next 1 year on maintaining the car, then 8.75, try and bring it as close to possible as to 8.25. Obviously, you won't get it. He probably won't go down from 10 lakhs to 8.25, but just something to, as an anchor, it's about anchoring, right? You anchor the seller at that price and then see where and how you can bring him to that price point. Right. But if something around 8.25, 8.3, I would get this, I would buy it. Provided everything else is in great condition, it's been serviced well, it is not a damaged, flooded car, it is not a another thing, by the way, I learned from the comments was that a lot of flooded cars are actually floating around right now, pun intended, because Delhi went through rains, and so just make sure you can get these checked that they're not a flooding cars, because that would be like,
correct,
gives me the chills thinking about a flooded car.
One thing I will add about this particular car, again, something that the seller here will try and pitch to you as a selling point is the number plate, which to me looks like any other number. It's ending in 786, which is supposed to be a fancy number, and people pay lakhs for numbers ending in 786. So they'll be like, sir, आपको fancy number लगा के दे रहे हैं, तो उसके 1 लाख रुपए लग जाते हैं. So
very good call out. Yeah. And in fact, I want to add a slight snippet, personal story there. But the Slavia that I bought actually is a BS registration where you cannot select number plates. But despite that, I have got a number which is really, really, you want to say like lucky VIP, whatever else. And I was like, okay, great. So anyway.
This I didn't know about BH registration, by the way, that you can't select the exact number.
You can't select the number.
Very interesting.
So, okay. So we netted out at site like 8.25, 8.5. Now, this car is also available new in the market and have the prices gone up. And so maybe we should also quickly take a look at if somebody was in the market for a Honda City and if they were to go buy it new, how much would they get it for? And therefore, what can be a good price to value it from that approach?
Okay, fair enough. And that's a good point, Pranay, because chances are the dealer will anchor you to today's price, which is, sir, aaj aap lene ja rahe ho Honda City, to aapko itne ki milegi, right?
Yeah.
So best source for that would be the actual company website. I'm looking at the current generation City. I'm looking at petrol, manual, and the VX variant, which is what we have in our listing as well. And that's 1382X showroom. again, assume no discounts. I'm sure there will be some offers running, but assume no discounts. Highest price you're paying for this is roughly 15.25 in the neighborhood of that. So 15.25 lakhs is what you would pay for a new Honda City VX manual today. And now going back to our math of roughly 35 to 40% depreciation for a 3-year-old car, 48,000 run, again gets you in that ballpark of just under 10 lakhs, probably around 9.9, 9.8, something like that. So from that standpoint, the dealer might actually say, I'm giving you a very fair value because नहीं आपको 15-25 की मिलेगी, मैं तो आपसे 10 लाख की मांग.
Yeah. And how do
Well,
we, I think the two things then we need to, like, how do we further bring him down, right? What do you say
Right.
to that, to the dealer?
Okay.
Things that have changed from that are obviously the feature list, because that's
Yeah.
a car which was in 2021, 2024. There'll be some features. Maybe there's a way to value them.
Right.
The other one is warranty, which is a big
And that's
one.
a big one.
Because I don't know what the warranty situation for Honda is. Or typically for new cars, what's the warranty they give. But in all likelihood, either that car is out of warranty or it is going to be out of warranty very, very soon. Yeah. And therefore, there is, I would say, merit to thinking about how do we use these two aspects to negotiate the dealer down. That look, you can say that you're giving me a 9.9 and a great deal, but one, there's warranty coming is out, and therefore I stand the risk of unforeseen expenses on this car going forward. And two, there are the features, right? Hey, this car, for example, has subwoofer costs 1 lakh rupees. If I were to go get this done in the market, so you bring that down immediately, like, hey, that car is 15.25 but doesn't have a subwoofer, so 14.25. It's all anchoring, like whether it's all a negotiation tactic, right? And then once you make it 14.25, for example, and then you take the 60% value of 14.25, there you go. Your amount has now come closer to that 9 lakh mark that we were trying to bring you to, right? So there are negotiation tactics. Try, or like, these are some of the things you can bring in here to make sure that the answer lies somewhere between 8.25 on the lower end and 10 lakhs which he's asking for. So if
Not
the
even
closer
10,
you can get to
on the higher end
8.25
is
using
9.
these negotiations.
Right.
But 9, I don't think so, right? Like 15.25, 60% of that is 9.9. So I think 9.9 is a higher end. I would not completely disregard the price of a new car, because eventually these are savings in hand. Like, you will save 6 lakh rupees, 6.25 lakh rupees if you were to buy this car over a new one. And this is not a bad car.
Right.
We've discussed this a lot. I think we've been chatting about this car for a long time, but that's what, like, it's a negotiation. So see how you want to play it. But I think somewhere, leave you with a simple answer. Maybe somewhere around 9 would not be a bad price to pay for this, given all that we know about.
Everything checks out. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Moving on to our second car for today, which is the Kia Sonet. Again, filters I've put in, we're looking only at petrol variants. I didn't have to put in a sub 5-year filter here because it's a fairly new car. I think it was launched in 2020. So everything will naturally be under 5 years. One filter we have put in just to see what it throws up is in terms of running of the car. And we've done a under 25,000 kilometer running. Just, some people might be more interested in cars that have run less versus others. So just seeing what that filter kind of throws up. And then we have, let's pick this one up. See, something that's interesting, by the way, on the very menu page itself is these two look like exactly the same listing. Because it's the same photo. Chances are either somebody's messing with in terms of a typo in terms of how much the car is run, and hence the prices are different. My sense is it's not. It's actually a car that's done 50,000 kilometers, and there's two different sellers trying to sell it.
No, I think it's actually the same seller. But what has happened is that the seller is lazy and he's put the same photo in two different listings. But let's check it. Like, open this. That's my hypothesis. And open the other one also.
We look at
I'm
both.
Sure the seller is the same.
Oh, this is an Assam number. So I think we should leave this one out for our... Let's see. Assam registration, 10,500 genuine run. Okay. Even the other one says... Assam registration.
Seller
okay,
is
this says GTX plus IMT. This also says GTX plus IMT. So this is clearly... something is fishy here.
Both are Assam.
It's the exact same number. So something's very fishy here. I would not recommend going for this one because the information doesn't have. Okay, we'll try and find something else. Let's take this one, for example. Okay, 2020 HTK Plus variant. It's an automatic variant. First owner, run fairly low, 18,000 kilometer. I would assume is on the lower side of what you would expect a 4-year-old car to be. Asking for 10, just under 10 lakhs. Quickly scrolling through the photos. I'm finding it hard to pin this on either a dealer or an individual. If there's an individual, clearly they've done a very good job of showing all the angles. They've hidden the number plate out, which points me to this being a dealer, but the name here says Sam, so I don't think we
It is.
can
It is.
derive too
It
much
says
out of it.
verified seller. It says verified seller on top. So I'm assuming
Okay,
it's
so
a
it's probably
dealer.
a dealer. Okay. So let's go through our usual exercise of finding out how much this car was new, and then we'll come down to what we expect a fair price for this. So this is, again, I looked at articles from early 2020 when this car was launched. We're looking at, just to confirm, the HTK Plus automatic variant. So that was HTK Plus. This is the DCT, because I'll just quickly confirm that with the photographs once. Yes, it says the DCT on the car here. So this is the dual clutch transmission, which was 10.5 lakhs ex showroom. This is a Delhi registered car, so add another 10% roughly. Add another lakh just to keep the calculation simple. So this would have been 11.5 lakhs new when this person bought this on road. Again, going back to our math of 4 years have passed, so 4 by 15 at the very least, which is roughly, let's say, 7% for every completed year, so that's 28%, and add a bit to that because this is the first owner car and you will be the second owner, and hence the first owner should take a higher depreciation. Add another 10 odd percent for that, so again we land somewhere in the 35 to 40%. I would be closer to 40% depreciation versus when this car was new. If you put a 50%, 40% depreciation on 11.5 lakhs, that gives you roughly about 6.75, 6.8 lakhs. Somewhere under 7 lakhs is how much I would pay for this car. And if we go back to how much the dealer is asking for, it's just under 10 lakhs, which highly overpriced if you ask me. Pranay, your thoughts?
I'm torn a little bit. I know this is a mad popular car.
In the meantime, I'll also do that. I'll pull up the current, because I know they have increased prices for the Sonet, but let me just quickly do that.
But I agree with you. Look, the problem here with this car, why I would not buy it at 10 lakhs is because I'm getting the Honda City at 10 lakhs in the previous listing. I'm sorry, but I'm also going to compare the two,
A
right?
newer Honda City, by the way.
A newer Honda City, I'm getting for 10. I prefer that car any day to this Kia. I don't like the Sonet, guys. I'm sorry if there are any Sonet lovers here. I hate it. I have driven it. I have test driven it for my father-in-law last year. And this car is, I mean, it's way too sensitive. Like you just like it's trying too hard. I don't like it. So anyway, I am biased against the Sonet. With that caveat, at 10 lakhs I would buy the previous listing that we just covered. Why would I buy this? So sorry. I agree with Siddhant that at 10 lakhs it doesn't make sense.
For some reason, the HTK Plus is not available anymore on the Kia website. But even one level higher, which is the HTX, is 12.5 ex showroom. And if I quickly go back to what was the difference between HTK Plus and HTX, it was just a 50,000 difference between the different variants, right? So I won't expect it to be magically 1.5, 2 lakhs now. So what is the 12.5 lakhs for the HTX would be roughly 12 lakh for a new car now versus it was 10.5. So there is a bump of 1.5 lakhs in terms of how much a new car costs. But then again, the number we're talking in terms of how much this car should be valued at, at a gap of like 3 lakhs, right? I'm saying 7, this person's asking for 10. Even accounting for the change in prices now, which by the way, I'm pretty sure Kia has introduced new features like, wireless charging and this and that.
100%. There's a facelift. There's an entirely different, like the car looks completely different. It's a new design.
Exactly.
It's a new generational design shift. So no comparison at all. Also, this is a 4-year-old car, almost 5 years old car now. We are ending in the second half of like 2024, right? So guys, I'm sorry, don't buy this.
No.
Don't even consider this at this price point. Let's move on.
Okay. Then we'll come to something more recent, even newer, in fact, in the market. We're coming to a Volkswagen Virtus, very popular with driving enthusiasts. Suppose I haven't driven one myself, but it's supposed to have great, driving experience and things like that.
You have driven my Slavia. It's the sibling.
Slavia,
it's the same car to drive.
It's the same car. I'm a big fan of the Slavia, so I'm guessing by default I'm also a big fan of the Virtus then. Again, filters I put in here are we're looking in Delhi. We didn't have to put an H filter. The car was launched in 2022. We're looking only, again, we didn't even have to put a petrol filter because it hasn't been launched in diesel variant so far. Let's see. Let's pick this one. Yeah, this is class 24. Yeah. Let's pick a different one. Let's see this one. We have a 2022. We have a car that's done 12,000 kilometers. It's the first owner. In terms of the variant, this is the Highline, and the person is asking for 12 lakhs. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So quick look at the details of this car. It's a 2022. It's done 12,000 kilometers. It's a first owner. Doesn't have insurance, so that will definitely be an expense that will be coming on you immediately. And it's the manual variant, and it's the Highline variant. Okay. I think that gives us enough to sort of form a view of how much we should be paying for this. Going back to our trusted auto car, mid-June article when the car would have been launched. We have the 1 liter manual options here. This one was a Highline, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So the Highline was 13 lakh ex-showroom, which was this a Delhi car?
Yeah,
It
it's a
doesn't
Delhi
stay.
car.
Let's assume this is Delhi for now. Add another 10%. So 10% added to 13 lakhs would have been 14.25, 14.3 lakhs roughly ex-showroom, assuming no discounts. Chances are you would have got some offers as well. So on a 14.3 lakh car, new on road, this car is 2 years old, done 12,000 kilometers. So I don't think it's done significantly high mileage from that point of view. So here I would simply do the math of, okay, first owner car taking a hit of 10% straight away. And then add, 2 by 15, which is how much of the life of the car has passed away. So another roughly 7% for each completed year of usage. So I would do 7 plus 7 is 14 and add another 10% for the first owner. So roughly about 25% depreciation is where I would start thinking of this deal as something that makes sense to me. Now, if we take that on 14.3 lakhs, that gives us roughly 11 lakhs, if I'm not wrong, in the ballpark, is where this car would start making sense to me. And this is listed for 12, so we're not that far off. If you can try and negotiate, try and see if you can bring the price further down, maybe this is the deal that makes sense to you.
My other worry with this is there's no insurance. Do you want to value that in somewhere?
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. And insurance for this car, I'm assuming, would be at least 25 to 30,000 for a year. And that's for a zero depreciation, because that's what I would recommend someone take on this car as well. It's fairly new. It's in its early part of life, so you do want a comprehensive zero depreciation policy. So whatever price that I said earlier, 11, I would subtract another 35, 40,000 for insurance, and that's fairly easy to factor in because you can go on any of these online portals like Policy Bazaar, Acco, and just see how much an insurance would cost you.
The other thing which I foresee coming up from the seller here, I'm being the devil's advocate and thinking as a seller.
Absolutely.
The seller is going to tell you this car has PPF on it. Even though it's not mentioned here, I'm assuming this car, a lot of these cars, by the way, these days have PPF.
Yeah.
And they love to enforce that cost on the second-hand buyer, right, which I personally, for example, even for my Slavia, I haven't gotten a PPF done. I don't think it makes sense to get it done.
Right.
For reasons beyond this video. But if the seller tries to tell you, sir, there's PPF on this, for 1.5 lakh rupees, I've gotten PPF done, just hang up on it.
Absolutely.
I'll get angry if they say that to me. Right? So walk out from there. Right. You keep your PPF, you keep your car. I'll go buy the Honda City.
Pranay seems to have found his car for today. That's the deal of the episode.
I think it's not bad. It's growing on me. The more I see these listings, it's growing on me. But the good part about this car, coming back, the good part about this car is that it's under warranty, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it has some while to go in the warranty, and that's important for Skoda Volkswagen. The other good part is that because it's in warranty, you can actually go ahead and buy an extended warranty also.
Exactly.
If you want to keep this car for the long term.
Yeah.
So this is a good car. It's a great car to drive. It's a 1.0, right?
It's the 1 liter. 999cc, yes.
Yeah, which if you don't have too much highway running, I think it's a good car for city.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I actually do wonder why did I buy the 1.5 and why did I not buy the 1? But I have a Swift.
Buyer's remorse.
The deal is what got me. But anyway, I think I'll go with sedan. What was your price again? Sorry.
I think 11 lakhs, assuming no expenses, but like you said, because there's insurance on this one, probably like a 10.6, 10.7 at best.
Yeah. You think? I think that's a fair price.
Yeah.
but get it checked.
Yes, absolutely. Even though it's in warranty, still no harm in getting
Yeah.
it checked.
Okay, so the
Hmm.
next and the last car for today is
Mhm.
the Tata Nexon,
Second
and this
last,
one
because we also have the
second
deal
last.
of the episode.
Yes, yes. The
Yeah.
second last car of the day is Tata Nexon. I
Mhm.
think Tata Nexon's been on a journey, right? It's by
Yeah.
the way, it has been in the market for 7 years. It was launched in 2017. It was the top selling SUV for 3 years in a row. I remember
Mhm.
I was in Bangalore when this car was launched, and I remember being ultra excited seeing this. I loved
Yeah.
how it looked. I loved how it was so refreshing seeing it from Tata. And the numbers show for it, right? Like it was the top selling SUV for 3 years, 700,000 units selling annually
Mhm.
from in a period of 2021 to 2023. Also, the first Indian car to receive a global NCAP rating of 5 stars, which really
Yeah.
brought this discussion and conversation of safety ratings to the forefront. So, kudos
Absolutely.
to Tata Motors for like really cracking the India code with this car.
Mhm.
I loved it back then. I've never considered it because I wasn't in the market for a car back then. But I see why people
Um,
love it and I see why it's such a popular car. Long story short, it's a very popular car. Slightly fallen off grace over the last few years because of the Koreans coming into this exact same segment hitting this car. Now Mahindra has come with the 3XO, which basically looks like the Nexon. And so, and we know Mahindra does a slightly better job at like cracking the market. So I'm worried for Nexon now, where it goes from here. But with all of that background context, let's see what are the listings we have today.
One thing I will add from my point of view, one thing I've loved about the Nexon, one thing you rightly said, it landed the conversation around safety, and people actually started talking about acha airbags kitne hain, is is the structure of the car safe enough and all of that. But I think what they also did was, with this particular car is when people started actually taking Tata as a brand seriously once again. The old crop of the Indigos and the Indicas and the unreliability issues and all were finally put at bay. And iske baad is where you saw, even on the design front, Tata really stepping up its game. I
Yeah.
will go so far as to say, even the latest Nexon that they've launched, I'm not considering it because I'm not in the market for one, but it looks fantastic. It looks
Yeah.
futuristic and all of that. So even on the design front, they've done a fantastic, fantastic job with this car.
And you see that across the lineup, right? Like, look at the
Mhm.
Harrier.
Yeah.
Harrier has
Oof.
always been at the forefront of the looks.
Mm.
It looks
Yeah.
stunning. And even the
Yeah.
latest one, I love it. Safari, okay, questionable. It just looks like a slightly out of proportion Harrier. But Harrier is the car, right? Like, looks amazing.
Correct.
So I,
Correct.
I see your point on how they've really cracked the design sensibilities as well. So
And they're
they're
trying with the
really
curve now. Let's see where that goes.
curve is also interesting. Like I
Yeah.
the looks are growing on me. I don't think it's an oddly shaped car. It looks like a X. It looks like a mini X4 to me somewhere
Right.
in that.
Exactly.
It's a good looking car. So let's
Yeah.
see where it goes. But okay, enough
Yeah.
about that. Let's go into the listings here. I would not go too far back in this car because look, I want a car under warranty. I'm sorry, I do not want a Nexon which is out of warranty.
Hmm.
Tata is really like I don't think they have put all the reliability issues at bay. There are a lot of reliability issues, especially when it comes to their electricals.
Right.
They are really bad. I've heard massive horror stories of their electricals. So I'm going to like look at only recent cars. So let's look at the 2022 Nexon XZA Plus H. What does this look like?
Okay.
Even off the bat, I don't think this makes sense. But let's do a little bit of an analysis and see where we net out. It's a Delhi number plate. Um, it is first owner. It is 20,000 kilometers, which looks good. Just get these kilometers checked once.
Yeah.
You do know that there is basically, if you go to Zacado or a lot of these startups, they actually have this machine that they connect to the electricals of the car. And from the back end, you can actually see how much the car has done and not need
Hmm.
to rely on what the odometer says. So you can actually get it checked in the back end. And there have been instances I've heard of, even with new cars, for example, that the odometer
Oh.
was reset. Yeah, yeah. I've heard. I was
Wow.
talking to Sofan story, digressing a little bit. But when I was buying the Slavia, I spoke at depth to the Zegardo guy who did my PDI. And I asked him
Hmm.
that why do you check all this in the back end with the computers and the electricals of the cars? He said because there was once this instance where the Slavia had actually done 800 kilometers in the showroom and they had put it back to
Wow.
like 100, 200, and we found that discrepancy. And then the showroom owned up that, hey, we had actually taken this somewhere, done this, blah, blah, blah. And
Wow.
that's why we had actually, and that's a, like I
Big
would
red
never deal
flag.
with that showroom again. I would cancel my booking with that showroom because I'll have massive trust issues, right? So anyway,
Right.
sorry, that's a new car. In this case, also you should get it checked if you can find a somebody with that machine to
Hmm.
get it checked. So anyway, going back to assuming for now 20,000 kilometers is accurate and reliable, the car looks like if you look at the photos, I think looks pretty decent.
Mhm.
Yeah, this looks like a seller to me and not a dealer.
Yeah,
Uh,
it doesn't say anything else though.
so anyway, that's it's okay. We can look at 20,000 kilometers, 2022 variant, XZA plus HS HMT. So is it hard to have it open?
Yeah, we'll try and
2022.
find that. So we're at Autocar again, early 2020s when the facelift launched. Okay,
XZA plus, yes, that's the one.
hey, this is it.
10.3.
Petrol.
Yeah.
Does it say any
Okay.
XZA plus option? No, it doesn't. It's
Says
just XZA
XZA
plus.
plus HS AMT. AMT would
Yeah.
be what? AMT is
Automatic, I
a,
know, is their AMT. So everything that you see with the A at the end is the automatic variant of
yeah,
that particular
variant. So okay, so
variant.
it's 10.3 lakhs ex
Mm-hmm.
showroom at 10%, so about 1.3, so about 11.5 broadly is what
Mm-hmm.
this would have come at.
Yeah.
And what is the new one going for right now? Let's also look at that.
Oh, that'll be a fight.
I don't think comparing the new one here makes sense, to be honest, because
Mm.
the new one is drastically different.
It's a new generation.
It is a new generation, and how? Look at this. How can you compare this with what you're getting there? So if the seller takes you on this road, in fact, don't even look at it. Like, let's go
Yeah.
back. I'm sorry, we should not look at the new one here at all. No point
Right.
considering this. If the seller tells you that, call him out on that bluff, because it's a completely different interiors, completely different exteriors. It's an entirely different car altogether. So I would not. It's a very EV first model that they've come up with. So I would not even compare the two. So come back to
Yeah.
this. 11.5 is where we are at, right? And this is
11.3 actually, because it's 10.3.
11.3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the same maths, 7%, 7%, 10%. So 24, 25, 30. Let's say 30% broadly, right? Because 7% for each year run, and then 10% for the initial ownership. And because it has actually, yeah, 30 would be slightly on the high. Like 30 is fair, I would assume, but I'm slightly lower than 30 is also okay. So between 25 to 30 should be okay. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Yeah, fair enough.
So 11.3 into zero point 0.7 is how much? It's 7.91. How much is he asking for? 10.75. That's really far away.
Wait, just to confirm, this person is asking for more than what the ex-showroom price was.
Yeah.
Something doesn't add up. We're on a different planet.
Are we looking at the right car? It's making me question us.
We are. I'm sure I'll tell you what chances are here you're going to get that argument, sir. नहीं वाली तो I don't know the exact prices, sir. 15 लाख की आती है, मैं तो आपको 10 लाख में देता हूँ. I can guarantee you that's going to be the conversation.
Something doesn't add up because as per these prices is 10.3. Maybe there was some price revision from 2020 to 2022 when this person bought it. So for now, let's assume that it's 11.2. Let's assume that it's the highest variant here and like 11.2. इससे ज़्यादा तो price revision नहीं हुआ होगा because they were also gearing up for the launch of the new one. So let's assume 11.2 and let's do the calculation on 11.2. 11.2 would have become about 12.2 broadly, and 12.2 on road, 70% of that is 8.5. It's still very high. It's still at
It's in a different
10.75,
ballpark.
which is almost 25-30% higher than where we are at. So have a chat. Like, I don't know if even it's worth having a chat with this seller because it's so off. Like 8.5 is what I would pay for this.
And
10.75.
actually, one more thing I'd like to add. Chances are when this person bought this car new, because the facelift or the generation change was just around the corner, they would actually have managed to get even better discounts than normal.
That stays true with all the cars that you've talked. Even
Yeah.
even the Virtus in the previous one, I am 100% sure they would have gotten a much bigger discount. So we're being generous by assuming that there are
Exactly.
no discounts in this listing.
Right.
100% that would have been a good discount. Okay, so then this is at 8.5 for us. Like even
I'd bet.
assuming that this was for 11.2 on road, ex showroom, and 12.2 on road, even then.
Right.
And if they take you down that route of, hey, this is a new car you'll get for 15, don't go then because it's a completely different car. Then say, I'll buy that, right? I don't want your car because it's a completely different
Yeah.
car altogether. There's no comparison. So okay, I think, and again, sorry, what would I buy if I had to buy it for 10.75? You're right, the Honda
Honda
City.
City. We still have that open, Pranay. We can find the dealer's number. We can
This
get that
one.
for you.
This is slowly edging itself towards deal of the day. But with that, let's go to the deal of the day that Siddhant has found. Deal of the episode. Which
Okay.
one is it?
This is what I've been able to find. random side thing. I came across this car simply because I was just looking at what's available in the used car market for a family member for in terms of Jeep Compasses specifically. This one is some of the details are wrong, which again is a pet peeve. It says it's a 2021 model. It says it's automatic and petrol. I was specifically looking for petrol automatics. The problem I have is number one, it says 2 liter. The 2 liter was a diesel engine. The petrol is the 1.4, and it says sport here, which is the base variant, whereas actually here it's you know wait, does it say limited? Okay, it says sport here, which is the base variant. But when I actually look at the photos of the car, you will see at the back it says limited plus, which was I think in 2021 just second from the top. So just above this one was the model S, but limited plus was basically the second from top model. So few things are just not adding up. But just quickly talking about the deal first. For a 3-year-old car that hasn't done too much, just about 20,000 kilometers, 15 lakh asking price seems to be a great deal. Given this car at that point, I've just pulled out the prices for early 2021, which is when the facelift was launched. This would have been the 23.29 lakh ex showroom. So in Gurgaon, this would have been a 25 lakh, 26 lakh on road price. So you're getting roughly a 10 lakh discount, it seems, on what a new car would have been 3 years ago, right? Seems like a great deal. But now this is where some of the reasons, let me point out why this might be too good to be true, or what are some of the things you need to watch out for. Number one, you'll see in the description, the car is located in Delhi, but it's actually a Chhattisgarh number plate, a CG. So two ways this can happen, right? Either you're sitting here in Delhi NCR and you're lucky enough to have an address in Chhattisgarh where you can get this car registered in your name, in which case you pay 15 lakhs for this, you pay a nominal fee to transfer the ownership in your name, and you're done, right? But chances are majority of the people in Delhi don't have a Chhattisgarh address, which means you will have to get this registered in Haryana in your own name, which basically means paying that 10-11% which you pay on a new car again. And that, by the way, is on the cost of a new car. So if this was 23 lakh ex showroom, you would end up paying that 2.5, 3 lakhs roughly to register the car in your name today anyway. So that is a big cost to be taken into account. So while this seems like it's 15, straight off the bat, it's at least a 17 or an 18 number that we're looking at. Secondly,
sorry, just on that point. Okay, go on.
A couple of things, like I said, that don't add up. Number one, I said, it says sport here. It's got the engine specifications wrong, whereas it's a limited plus variant here as per the car. Another thing that doesn't add up, and this is just my obsessive behavior, is the alloy wheels don't add up. And bear with me for a second, because as far as I remember, 2021, when the facelift was launched, the alloys had changed for the limited, even for the longitude, I feel. This is definitely from the previous generation, which is 2019 and before, right? If I show you here, this is what the alloy should have looked like on a 2021 model. And there should have been fog lamps. Versus here, alloys are different, which tells me it's been taken from a different car or something is up. And, we have multiple red flags, guys.
You know what's happening here? Sorry, I think you know what's happening here. This is a 2020 car, which is registered in 2021.
The problem though is the interior is correct. The steering wheel is different, which is what it was, and the dashboard is different as it was on the new car. What doesn't make sense is how are the alloys old? How are the alloys the old ones? And if it is the limited plus variant, where are my fog lamps? So I think what's happening here is this is actually a 2019 or before sport variant. Somebody has slapped on the alloys of a limited plus, slapped on the badging of a limited plus, because that's very easy to do. I think my sense is these interior images, this is from a different car. It's not the same car. Like, this might be the same car, but the steering wheel and all definitely doesn't add up for me. And something's up.
So then this is not the deal of the episode anymore.
But I think this is a great lesson in terms of when you see something that's too good to be true, just dig deeper and you'll find inconsistencies, which you can then either investigate, get this car for 10 lakhs, why not?
Would you make a visit to go check out this car to the seller?
I would definitely place a phone call. Also because it's I do really enjoy when people have inconsistencies and they're trying to sell something to the world which it's actually not. I really enjoy giving them a call and pulling strings just to bring out the inconsistencies in their story. Thoda irritate karne maza aata. So I would definitely do that. Pay a visit, maybe not.
I had a question that assume this car had checked out, which now it doesn't.
Yeah.
So sorry, folks. We thought this is the listing of the day, but on deeper inspection, it looks like it's not. Okay, so it looks like the deal of the episode is not the Jeep Compass, but it is the first car that we covered, the Honda City. It looks like the more we think about it, it looks like a good one.
Yeah.
Try and bring it down a little bit if you're interested in this, and you
Mhm.
might have a car on your hands. But okay, hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for joining us. And if you have any suggestions on what other cars you want to cover, please put it in the comment section below. Please like the video so that we know that you're liking it and you want us to do more of these, and if these are helpful. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments. If you have made it this far, please subscribe. A lot of people are not subscribed to this channel. And yeah, we are making progress towards improving stuff on the channel. So as you know, might have noticed, we have a mic now, which the last time there was a lot of feedback on sound quality. So hopefully the sound quality is better this time.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do that. But in return, please subscribe. Helps channel grow, helps improve, better bring better content to you. I'll stop selling further. And I don't often do this, so I don't really do this, but I've seen when I do it, it works. So that's why I'm doing it. With that, thank you. And Siddhant, any parting thoughts?
No, can't wait for
Okay.
the next episode.
All right. Bye.
Bye.